Hello, my thoughtful teenagers, and welcome back to another episode of Grade 10 Maths with me, Miss Lambert. We are still on algebra, but for this lesson, we are going to be looking at indices. Now, what is indices? Let's look at the definition for that term. The laws of indices enable expressing involving power to be manipulated more efficiently than writing them out in full. Using indices, an index or a power is the small floating number that appears after a number or a letter. Now let's look at the bottom here. We're going to see the representation of an index. Now we have the base and we also have the index or the power. So when we are writing a number using indices, we do not write out the number, rather it is written taking this pattern. Let's take a look at what exactly I'm talking about. Now let's consider 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. Now here we can see we have the number 2 being multiplied by itself a total of 5 times. Now since that is the case, it says if this was to be represented in index form, it would be written as 2 to the 5th power, whereas 2 is our base and 5 is our index. What this is saying is that 2 is multiplied to itself 5 times. Now for the laws of indices. For your level of education, we will focus on the first 6 laws of indices. These are the multiplication law, division law, power to power law, zero law, negative law, and the fractional law. But for this lesson, we are going to be focusing more on the first 2 laws. So let's examine the first law a little bit more in detail. The multiplication law, or the first law of indices. It says when multiplying and the base are the same, we add the index. Another name for index is the power or the exponent. So here we can see that both of our indices, x to the 2nd power multiplied to x to the 3rd power, both the bases are the same. So we go ahead and we simplify. So here we have x to the 3rd plus 2nd power. That will give you x to the 5th power. Additionally, here we have 2 to the 4th power multiplied by 2 to the 3rd power. Yes, you can see here that both of our bases are the same because our base in each instance is 2. Now we're going to have 2 to the 4th plus 3rd power. So when we simplify 2 to the 4th power multiplied by 2 to the 3rd power, we are going to end up with 2 to the 7th power. And that is how we apply the first law of indices. And here we have the division or the second law of indices. And it says when dividing and the base are the same, we subtract our index. And our index is that little floating number at the top. So here we can see that our bases are the same because we have x at the top and at the bottom. So x to the 5th minus 2nd power will give us x to the 3rd power. Now additionally, if we had 2 to the 4th power divided by 2 to the 3rd power, we are going to have, as you can see here, 2 to the 4th minus 3rd power, which will give you 2 to the 1st power. Now in mathematics, we do not write 2 to the 1st power because it is understood that once no power is visible, that is raised to the power of 1, or that is raised to the index of 1. So 2 to the 1st power can be rewritten as simply 2. Now let's recap what we did for this lesson. Now it says that the laws of indices enables expressing involving powers to be manipulated more efficiently. When multiplying and the bases are the same, we add the index, which is the first or the multiplication law. When dividing and the bases are the same, we subtract, which is the division or the second law. Now remember, we still have 4 more laws of indices to go through, so please be sure to practice on the addition and the subtraction, or the division and the multiplication laws of indices. How can you do that? We're going to be using Mathematics A Complete Course with CXC Question Volume 1. Exercise 6S, which can be found on page 279. You are going to work questions 11 to 50. That will give you enough practice on multiplication and division law of indices. So my thoughtful teenagers, I really do hope you enjoyed our lesson on laws of indices. And remember, please be sure to check out your base and what operation you must perform. Please ensure that you do your homework, and I would like to thank you for being here with me on this episode of Grade 10 Maths. I am Miss Lambert, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.